What about you? Do you remember your true name?
One must hold one's cards as long as necessary.
Here, the most ancient.
It doesn't make a difference to me. I'm content to feign ignorance.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
Never count your cards until they've all been dealt.
The question is, who are you, Luxord?
Luxord, the Gambler of Fate. While initially regulated as an outer character who apparently resigned himself to rot on the bottom rung, his destiny has become grander and grander as time literally goes on. While much is still unknown about him, a revelation within the whispers of the Lost Master arc of Kingdom Hearts may be on the cusp of revealing his greatest secret. As a series, Kingdom Hearts is no stranger to references, naming conventions, and inspirations of and from various forms of outer mythology. We've had Latin designations, aspects of the Greek alphabet, and in more recent years, we had references to the 7 deadly sins from Christianity. But now, even more recently, there are names and references of characters and settings from Norse mythology and even Roman mythology within the advent of the Key Saga that is set to connect into the incoming Lost Master arc. But what does this all have to do with Luxord and his erratic identity? Well, everything actually. I'm about to take you into a deep dive into the darkness so that we may hold the truth to his characters and his machinations. There's a lot to cover, so keep up. This is HMK once again. Be sure to like, share, and most importantly subscribe. Let's dive directly into the darkness. As a primer, Luxord is an incredibly cultured yet mysterious character within the Kingdom Hearts series, stated to be Tetsuya Nomura's favorite organization member. Indeed, he is a member from both iterations of the Organization 13, ranking number 10 in the original and ranking number 5 in the real Organization 13. As the Gambler of Fate, he specializes in fighting with cards and controls the terrifying power over time itself as his element. However, he is quite selective on how he wields this power, electing to utilize it in games of chance and skill against his opponents like Sora. While deadly, these matches are conducted in a way that begets a friendly rivalry rather than duels with the intent to kill. After being defeated for the supposedly final time by Sora in the Keyblade War during the events of Kingdom Hearts 3, Luxord vanishes on good terms with Sora, giving him a wild card, the Joker. But this wouldn't be the last time that we see him, as within Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind's secret episode, when you're victorious against the even more mysterious Yozora, his driver bears an uncanny resemblance, both audibly and visually, to Luxord. At first, this would definitely suggest the possibility that Luxord's original persona hails from this world that we have come to know as Quadratum, the setting for Kingdom Hearts 4. But perhaps the truth is much more than that. Now that we have a good understanding of what little we know about this character, what if I were to tell you that his existence and machinations could be something much greater than that of other pivotal characters within the series? More than Xehanort, more than the Lost Masters, and perhaps more than Lushu and the Master of Masters. The logic with this theory begins within the chapter of Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, where we are introduced to a character known as Odin, whose namesake is obviously that of the Allfather of the Aesir gods in Norse mythology. But his appearance seems a bit unassuming and looks more like Gandalf from Lord of the Rings. Well, because this is the appearance that is actually based on the form that Odin takes when visiting Midgard, aka the realm of Earth in Norse mythology. It is this form that inspired the appearance of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings. With the introduction of Odin, who served as Xehanort and Eraqus' master in their youth, as would a number of other characters named after Norse icons within that of Union Cross and Dark Road, we now have a source of inspiration from a very particular mythology that can allude to a particular character's existence, abilities, and even storyline. When approaching Odin and what we know about him in Kingdom Hearts and Norse mythology, we gain the insight that he is an incredibly powerful being, a Keyblade master from the time of Scala Adkylum being active in Xehanort's life. Or could it be that he was active much longer? As we look within the story of Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, the final entry of the Key Saga of Kingdom Hearts, we come into contact with two very mysterious dark individuals who, if their identities are truly that of what's being theorized here, could hold the key to solving this mystery. These individuals, dressed in black, are seen from a distance looking over the player character, the latest drifter to arrive in Scala ad Caelum, before the events of Dark Road and after the events of Union Cross. It is within this cutscene in which they debuted that 2 black feathers were used to control the guards that they were overseeing. At first, you may think the idea of these characters referencing that of the remnants of Sephiroth, a group that includes Kadaj, Laz, and Yazoo, along with the idea that these feathers come from the black wing of Sephiroth. But this could be way more than that in a different course of thought. Rather than black feathers originating from the concept of Sephiroth and his remnants, although I do believe there is some inspiration at play here, these black feathers could be representative of a specific bird, ravens in particular. But why ravens? Well, because if we're dealing with Norse mythology more and more in Kingdom Hearts, particularly in the past within that of the Key Saga, then ravens would go in line with Odin, because in Norse mythology, Odin commanded a bunch of ravens that would act as his eyes and envoys, but among those ravens are the 2 most important, Huginn and Muninn. These particular ravens would fly all over Midgard and the realms to bring back information to Odin, while also acting effectively somewhat as his familiars. But what's more is that Huginn and Muninn, when translated from Old Norse, means thought and mind or memory. So if you didn't pick up what I'm putting down, it's that these dark Keyblade wielders are indeed interpretations of Huginn and Muninn and might be named as such, in which they are working directly for Odin, who is now very likely to appear in Missing Link, whether in a younger form or in a form that remains timeless and constant as we've seen in Dark Road. Still got doubts? Check it out. Huginn and Muninn mean thought, mind, and or memory. And these individuals have shown to have the ability of mind control and manipulation through the use of raven feathers. Did I blow your mind yet? But wait, there's more. We haven't even gotten to the best part, because remember, this is all leading to Luxord. But what does Odin and a couple of birds have to do with all of that? Well, because we're establishing multiple pieces of Norse lore connections within Kingdom Hearts, and the greatest connection lies with the Gambler of Fate. If we're going off the connection that these individuals are Huginn and Muninn, and that Odin will indeed be in Missing Link that takes place long before that of Dark Road, then that could suggest that Odin, like his Norse counterpart, is practically a timeless being, and in some accounts actually gets stronger with age. But if we're talking on the concept of time and the possibility of timeless beings, then we need to look at the one whose element is time. That is right, Luxord. And if we're going by his mastery over the concept of time, so much so that he's able to conjure playing fields where time is wagered and that he's apparently appeared in Quadratum, then is it possible that Luxord and Odin could be in fact related? And I mean that in a very big way. What if Luxord was in fact Odin's brother? Now, you may think I'm out of my mind and this will be quite the theory, but check it out. Many people have been debating and speculating Luxord's true name without the mark of the recusant sigil. And there are a couple of ideas, Dulor, Lord, but one of them lends itself to this grand possibility, and that is Ludor, which is indeed translated to the spelling of Ludor, which has an extra R in Old Norse, but it's fine, it works, it can be spelled this way. And Ludor, in Norse mythology, is the brother of Odin. Whoa, you think we solved the case already? Well, not exactly, because this is where things get dicey. Get it? Because, Luxord uses dice. Alright, moving on. While Ludor is indeed the brother of Odin, this isn't exactly the potential identity we are going to be focusing on for Luxord. Norse mythology is a very interesting thing. Of course, there are the legends of Ludor, the brother of Odin, and the Aesir god that was tasked with animating the first humans after the 3 gods, Odin, Ludor, and Honor, created the first humans, Ask and Embla. But beyond that, Ludor's presence within Norse mythology is actually insanely brief when compared to that of more known entities. To that end, there are various accounts within that of those that study Norse mythology that present the theory that Ludor can be attributed and identified as another famous Norse god. While scholars have yet to reach a true consensus, a popular and heavily argued theory from the University of Iceland when studying Norse mythology is that Ludor is actually another designation for the Norse god Loki, the god of mischief and chaos. A legend like this I feel needs very little introduction, as this entity has famously been adapted many times over in various forms of media, and with this theory, it could be possible that Loki was in our eyes the whole time, which would definitely play into his nature in various testaments of Norse mythology, with the notion of Luxord being a gambler, the gambler of fate, who gives Sora a wild card, otherwise known as the Joker, something that represents the power of mischief, wit, and potential that is chaos, much like Loki. As the idea of Ludor being another designation for Loki to the point of contention that still persists to this day, I'd say that Tetsuya Nomura's intention for this character's revelation wouldn't be completely out of the question considering the machinations that we've seen with Luxord. As interpreted in various forms of study and media, Loki is a key component to the events of Ragnarok, the end of all things in Norse mythology that will lead the realm to be burned, submerged, and rise anew, fertile and ready to bring about the next form of life. This can definitely be seen as something that could connect to Luxord, not only with his roles within that of Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, with Xemnas' campaign and the Second Keyblade War, but also what is yet to come with the Lost Master arc and the Master of Masters' plan to eradicate all darkness. Luxord could be, if he already isn't, an incredibly key, get it, player in the next potential apocalypse that Sora could face, possibly being that of a calamity trigger, but not in the sense of beginning the next fall of everything for malicious reasons, but in a sense that his machinations in finding Sora and giving him the wild card starts the chain of events in which the doomsday clock starts ticking due to him finally finding the champion necessary to face it. But with all of that in mind, Luxord's own movements behind the scenes and known to all definitely play into the idea of Loki's own lore. A trickster, a being of incredibly high intellect and a plethora of secret knowledge that they utilize in order to play games or disobey the natural rules and order, either for the machinations of the selfish or the selfless. To which at this point in time of Kingdom Hearts, Luxord has filled the role of both a malevolent and benevolent force that coincide with the theorization of Loki and Ludor being the same entity in Norse mythology, sharing their history of traits and actions. But when it comes to the idea of Luxord actually being identified as Loki by name in the Kingdom Hearts series, when his name is indeed Luxord that could be derived from Ludor, that could simply be an anagram of an alias. Similarly how Xemnas is Ansem, although both entities are derived from Xehanort. With that logic, Luxord being Ludor could be another name he uses, or even that of a code name that was given to him by Yozora in order to move and act without being identified by certain concerned parties, especially given the exchange between him and Xigbar, aka Lushu, someone who's supposed to be on top of this sort of thing. If this all pulls together true, then this could be one of the greatest revelations in all of Kingdom Hearts, and brings home the rapidly growing importance of a character too long on the bottom rung, which, if we continue to get technical, actually could be seen going in line with Loki's character and description in various poems of Norse mythology, with Luxord feeling like the outlier, the outcast of both incarnations of the Organization 13, stating he was within the bottom cards of a deck within the first organization and on the bottom rung of the second organization. A sentiment that can only be seen to be shared with Demyx, albeit one-sided to a degree. Anywho, I digress. The point is that this ideal is shared with Loki within Norse poetry, where Loki is rejected, cast aside, and insulted by the Aesir gods on multiple attempts to assimilate, which is buried deep within and leads to the totally not so secret advent of Loki holding many of the Norse gods in contempt, which can also in turn hint at the possibility that Luxord holds Odin and possibly other Keyblade wielders of the old guard, including that of the Lost Masters, in similar contempt, but holds the new generation of the Keyblade wielders in a much warmer regard, as seen with his interactions with Sora and Roxas. Luxord's greatest mystery is his true identity. While he teeters on the cusp of ally and enemy, the truth behind his belonging can be attributed to the connections he may have and the connections he could continue to make. And given that his name could hold the key to a greater meaning, I do believe that the Gambler of Fate was and always is the trickster whose inspiration lies within the God of Chaos.
So you haven't subscribed to HMK yet? Don't piss Xemnas off.